Back with my first movie review of 2023. Let's get into it now. Knives Out Glass Onion on Netflix. This is the level of movie that Netflix needs to put out more often. We really only get one a year on this scale from Netflix. Maybe that's all they can afford at this point. But if they put out more movies at the quality of Glass Onion, I feel like it would really set them apart from all the other streaming services. And this movie was a great get for them after the first one was such a big success to get the sequel to be a Netflix exclusive. When it comes to all the streaming services and their original movies, Netflix was one of the first ones to have a big hit back when everybody watched Bird Box over the holiday break back in the day, and now it's had them very far and few between. I feel like Hulu has actually done surprisingly well when it comes to having great original movies, but then Netflix comes out and puts a movie out like this to remind everybody we are the king of streaming. So let's get into how this movie stacks up from the original one. It is somehow better to me, but also not as good as the original, and for different reasons. I feel like the first one was a little bit more novel in its approach, and we had no real expectations going into the first Knives Out movie. But this one really kind of turned up the campiness, which I feel like some people view this movie as being a little bit cheesy, but I feel like this movie is pretty self-aware. But I feel like when it comes to a murder mystery movie, it has to have that kind of level of cheesiness to get the story across, but I feel like it handled it very well. And I just have to say, this is how you make a movie with an ensemble cast, because there are so many great A-list level actors in this movie, and I feel like no other movie has done it like Knives Out Glass Onion has. A lot of the other ensemble cast movies I have hated. This one I love, from Daniel Craig to Dave Bautista, Kate Hudson, Janelle Monáe. I feel the reason this one works so well is because each individual actor has their own time to shine. You often don't get that in some of the other ensemble cast movies. It's just like, oh, look at all these A-list actors trying to prove that they are great. Everybody in this movie has a very specific role, and it's very character driven. All of these people who you're trying to figure out, are they the ones who did it, have their very own individual characteristics, and they all do that very well. So I think that is what makes this movie work. And I never really found myself to be one to love a murder mystery, but now I'm totally into the genre. I'm even going back and watching like Death on the Nile and Death on the Orient Express just to get my fix now. And I think that is why this movie works so well. It is a very fun movie to watch with family. That is what I did over the holiday break. We all sat down and watched Knives Out, and there is an element of kind of like playing a game, because everybody, as you're watching it, is picking who they think did the murder in this movie. And I think for that reason, the whole Knives Out franchise has the ability to go on forever, because you can just keep bringing on new characters. You probably keep Daniel Craig to keep that one thread to make it feel like a Knives Out movie. But you have a whole new story, you have a whole new set of characters, you have a whole new murder mystery with all new twists and turns. So you could keep this format and keep on doing it. Eventually, when Daniel Craig doesn't want to do it anymore, or he becomes too expensive, you bring someone else in and you continue on this franchise. And just with this formula, it still makes it entertaining to watch. I mean, when we're going on getting into the double digits in the Fast and the Furious movies, I feel like Knives Out would have no problem doing the same and keeping people around and keeping people interested. When it comes to the standout performances in the cast, I guess because I never really got too into the James Bond movies, I've never really been a particular fan of one individual Daniel Craig movie. And I feel like some people find his character annoying in this movie because he has the Foghorn Leghorn KFC accent, but I find it kind of endearing, and it's fun to see him playing such a witty, smart, cool character. And I find myself analyzing as he is analyzing things, so I really enjoy following along his character in this movie, and felt like he really honed in on that more so than in the original movie. But I have to say, hands down, who I think is the best in Knives Out Glass Onion is Dave Bautista. And I do not think Dave Bautista gets enough credit for how good of an actor he is. I think everybody just compares him to The Rock, but I think he is a far, far better actor than The Rock because he is not just muscles and charisma. Dave Bautista actually has some range, and he shows that a lot in Glass Onion. And I think that is something that The Rock should be jealous of. Yes, they are comparable in the sense that they both came from WWE and both transitioned into an acting career. But when it comes to individual movies that they have both done, I find myself being a bigger fan of Dave Bautista's acting, whether it be in Guardians of the Galaxy, in Dune, Army of the Dead, Blade Runner, and now Knives Out. And I'm very much looking forward to his performance in Knock at the Cabin in the new M. Night Shyamalan movie. I think he has really proven himself to have some range and to have some depth. And unlike The Rock, actually have some acting ability. And you see that in this movie. So I think when it comes to wrestlers turned actors, John Cena, Dave Bautista are right there at number 1 and number 2. So obviously this is a spoiler-free review and I don't want to get into what happens at the end of this movie, but I will say the entire story I felt this time was a lot more satisfying than the original one. And maybe even more so a little bit easier to follow along with throughout this movie. I felt like they streamlined the entire mystery process very well in this one, so I like the direction they went from the original to the sequel, and I'm ready for a Knives Out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I will watch them all back to back. So I think this is a big win for Netflix of having such a hit, putting out such a good movie over the holiday to give a lot of people a thing to watch, especially like I did with my family. I think it's a great movie to watch and make a game out of it. I think it is a big win for all the actors in this movie. I think a movie like this is fun for actors like Ed Norton to do and be a part of. I even love the smaller cameos like Ethan Hawke at the very beginning of the movie. The cameos in no way feel forced or cheesy like they would in another movie. And third, it has made me a believer in the whodunit genre. So I give Knives Out Glass Onion a 4.5 out of 5 Mona Lisas.